Welcome to my channel. This video is for a Christmas wreath using a DollarTree square wreath form. These square wreath forms are 14 inches in diameter. I'm starting out with a 21-inch width red mesh. This is a common mesh. It's got foil throughout it. It's not full foil. It's just got foil throughout it. And it's very common mesh. You can buy it at any craft store. I'm going to start it zip tying it to the wreath form there in the middle. I'm going to pull that very tight, and you want to leave about 1 inch to 2 inches there, and then just kind of tuck it under. And my first poof is going to be 12 inches, so I'm just measuring the mesh about 12 inches and making my poof, and I'm attaching to the center wire of the wreath form. These wreath forms have 8 sections and 3 wires. So right now I'm attaching to the middle wire, and I'm starting out on the corner. So I'm attaching the mesh twice on this section, at one end and then the other end. If you notice, I'm not attaching to that outer corner yet. I will attach the mesh to the outer corners when I finish. If you want to do it now while you're making it, go right ahead, but you will have to cover up those corners at some point. You can also make more poofs and make it even bigger and fuller if you would like. You can go longer than 12 inches for your poofs. It just depends how deep do you want it, how full do you want it. I'm going to be adding more mesh, so it will be nice and full when I'm finished. I know it doesn't look like it now, but if you're just using this mesh only, the 21-inch, you'll want to add more poofs, and I would use the entire roll. I'm not going to use the entire roll. I'm moving on to the inner wire, and I will go all the way around the inner wire of this wreath as well. So I'm attaching the 21-inch mesh around the middle and then around the inner wire. So there's 2 rows of these poofs. And here's where I will be attaching the mesh in each section. And you see I'm attaching it at the inner corners. When I got to the last section, I went ahead and cut the mesh off straight so I wouldn't have a jagged piece left over on the end of the mesh. And then you just tuck that piece under after you attach that last poof. You just want to tuck that end under just like you did at the beginning. And here's where I attached all of it. Now you want to go through and separate pull those puffs apart, those poofs. You just want to pull on them and make it as nice and full. Now here is how I'm attaching at the corners. You see I'm just taking a cable tie and making sure the mesh is going to cover those corners. It was very simple to do, and it makes sure that those corners are not going to show. Because if you don't attach mesh to the corners, at some point the corners will stand out. Now I'm going to make ruffles out of a 10-inch, and this is a full foil mesh. I got this at Hobby Lobby. I'm cutting it at 20 inches long, and then you just want to roll it under a little bit and then just start ruffling it. The reason why I have a pair of scissors on top is sometimes the mesh will not lay flat, so if you just throw a pair of scissors or something on top of it, it'll lay flat for you. And then I'm taking a chenille stem to attach the ruffle, and you want to just right there where the red is attached is where I want to attach the ruffle. So I'm going to attach a ruffle everywhere that the red mesh is attached to the wreath. So that's how many ruffles. However many times you've attached the red mesh to the wreath is how many ruffles you need to make. And then I just want to give that a couple of good twists, make sure it's nice and tight, and then pull on that ruffle to make sure it's all spread out. And here we go, it's all finished. Now I'm going to start my sign, and you see this is a big sign. I got this from DollarTree, and you have to be very careful about stapling anything to these MDF signs, these thin ones, because the staples will go through. My staple gun has 1/4 inch staples, and they're usually too long. So I'm using a large wreath tie, which is thick, so that's going to help, and then I'm folding over that chipboard 4 times. And it still almost came through a little bit, so I have to be very, very careful. And then I like to glue as well, just to make sure it stays on there. You don't want it falling off. So it's just an added security to add that hot glue to it. I'm starting with the bottom wreath tie there, and I'm just pushing it through the mesh, finding little holes between the mesh so that I can stick those wreath ties through. And then give it a couple of good twists, make sure it's snug, and then same thing with the top wreath ties. You don't want to leave your sign too loose, and you don't want to make it too tight either. So I only twist it a couple of times at the beginning to make sure it's where I want it, and then I can make it snugger or looser if I need to. And I've got this cute floral pick here, this elf foot that's all glitter. And so I'm just pushing it through the wreath form at first to make sure that's where I want it. Now I take the end of it and I kind of wrap it through the wreath form, just kind of weaving it through, and that will really stabilize it. And then I'm pulling it where I want it, as far down as I want it, and then I'm going to fold that over so that's not sticking out. And then tucking that end in, and then I will add some cable ties to this as well to make sure it doesn't come undone. You can also use floral wire or chenille stems, whatever you've got. You just want to make sure you've got it tied down so it stays on. I know some people hot glue all this stuff. I don't like to hot glue anything to the deco mesh. I don't like to hot glue it to the wreath. You can hot glue something to a chenille stem and then tie the chenille stem to the wreath, but I don't like to hot glue stuff to my wreaths if I can help it. Now I've got this cute plush elf that I also got at DollarTree. It does not have any wire in it. The ones that have wires in them where you can kind of bend them are the best to use on wreaths, but I couldn't find one, so I'm using this one. And I just attached his wrist, just tied it down to the wreath form using a chenille stem. And now I'm using this cute light up truck. This wreath is for a family with young kids, and they really wanted a kid-friendly wreath, so that's why I'm adding all this fun stuff to it. Simply added a chenille stem to the hanger that was already attached to this light up truck, and then just attached that to the wreath form. The on and off button on that truck is on the back, so I needed to make sure that it was loose enough that it could easily be flipped up and down to turn it on and off. Now I've got these light up ornaments as well, and the light is there, right there where I'm putting the ribbon through the hole. That is actually the place where you turn them on and off. So again, I'm going to have to make sure that they are sticking out enough on the wreath that they're easy to get to and you can turn them on and off. So just taking soft satin red ribbon and pushing it through the hole, and I will glue that ribbon to itself so it doesn't come undone, and then I will attach a chenille stem to it, to the wreath form, just like I did that truck. Now to make the sign even more fun, I'm adding googly eyes, and then I have these little glitter snowflakes and boots and trees that I also got at DollarTree. They came in a big package. So I'm adding those in a couple of places to the sign. And then I also got some red pom-poms I'm going to add there to the wrists. Here's the boot. And on this, I'm just adding a chenille stem to it, hot gluing it, and then I stapled on it too. You can't see that, and then I'm just running it through the wreath form just to add some fun things. So I did a tree there in the corner you can see. Now for a simple 2-layer bow, my tail is 8 inches. And my loops are also going to be 8 inches. You just want to twist that ribbon after you make your loop before you make your next loop. That way your pattern's on top. And I'm just doing 2 tails and 2 loops. Pinch it in the center, make sure you're keeping a hold of it. And then you can just go ahead and wrap your chenille stem around there if you need to hold it in place before cutting and making your next bow. If you want your tails evenly cut, just push them together like that and then cut it off so they're nice and even. Now for my next one, I'm going 1 inch longer on tails and loops so it'll stand out behind that other one. This ribbon is thin, so when you make your loops, sometimes they kind of cave in and you have to just kind of stick your fingers in there and make the loops do the way you want them to. On this one I did 4 loops instead of 2 because I wanted it a little bit bigger. Just make sure all the loops are going the direction you want them to, and then go ahead and place that one on top, and then twist your chenille stem very tight, and then cut off your second tail there, and I'm going to cut V shapes into all the tails to make them pretty. And it's a very simple bow, very cute. I'm just kind of deciding where I want it. And then after I attached the bow, I decided I needed to move stuff around. I had to take the truck off because it was covering it up, and then I had to move the elf too. So I probably should have attached my bow first. I hate doing that though because the bows always get messed up. So, and I wasn't 100% sure I was going to attach a bow to it. But anyway, I had to move some stuff around. That happens sometimes, not a big deal. Now I'm adding some bells in the center of some of those ruffles, and just using the chenille stem that was already on there. And any chenille stems that are sticking up, you'll want to just kind of roll them down. So see how I'm just kind of twisting them down and kind of make them spirally, or you can tuck them under, whatever you want to do. Now I'm adding a ribbon hanger. This is a soft satin ribbon that has like a candy cane pattern on it. That's also from the DollarTree. I made it pretty long, and I just wrapped it around the wreath form and then glued it to itself so it's nice and secure. You see how long I made it? I just wanted to make sure they had a nice long hanger if they needed it. Now I'm going to add a cluster of bells. So I'm just taking a chenille stem and adding 3 bells to it and getting them as close together as I can, and then wrapping it around the middle of the bow. I could have done this before I attached the bow, but I didn't know I was going to do it. I really just started building this bow, or this wreath, and it kind of made itself. And I was like, okay, I can add this, and I can add that, and I can do this. So it wasn't like any real big plan of how it was going to turn out. I just kept adding stuff. But here it is finished. I think it turned out really cute. It's whimsical. It's fun. I think the kids will love it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not 100% medically, so if you could tell during the video, I apologize if I'm not real clear. You can comment with any questions and I'll get back to you. Please like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to tap the bell for notifications. And please be kind with your comments, and please be kind to others. And I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as always, thanks for watching. God bless.